They are asking if it's a best of 5, and well, I can answer that to the stream as well. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a best of 5, as you can see at the top of the screen. I will give the players themselves that confirmation as well. They were told before this started, but yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are so back. I love seeing that in chat. I hope we're all excited to be here as well. First things first, we do have, of course, a goal here from Velocity in the starting 30 seconds. I see if he's going to be able to keep up this pressure. I had an opportunity to get his second already. That one, though, not quite finding the target. This one will go off the back wall. Velocity will pick up possession. 1v1, of course. Tjester having to reach up for that, tipping this one over just about, but still plenty more that needs to be done. Tjester on the ball. Can't quite sneak this one round. It is back to Velocity, who's just got a completely open net there, and he will tuck it home. 2-0 the score, and, well, it's a very, very good start here from the Englishman. Gonna have to see a little bit more from Tjester, but last time that I casted him here on RLduels, actually, he did have a game that went all the way to 5, and I won't spoil the result for you because, of course, you can go on the RLduels YouTube channel and you can watch that one back, but I can tell you now, he put on an absolute show, which is exactly what he's looking to do again this time. Velocity. Ball high, Tjester will just have to chase back to the corner. Velocity. Oh, does well to get that initial control. Second tap, won't quite find the back of the net. Tjester now taking possession. There's plenty of boost left in the attack, and you can see him eyeing up that one mid-right, but actually hasn't taken a lot to beat his opponent. There we go, back to an equal scoreline, ladies and gentlemen. And now this is going to be a long one, I reckon. I think this has full potential to go all the way to 5. Tjester, as I said, has been one to do it before. Velocity has definitely had games go quick. He can bring a game to the other side, but I feel like with these two, we're in for a fairly even game. In fact, I actually believe that they're right next to each other on RLduels statistics. If you'd like to go on the website, I believe it is quite literally, I want to say 2 players in the 60 ranges. Yeah, it is indeed. Tjester on 62, Velocity 63rd. I feel like the winner of this game actually jumps ahead if we're going to go off RLduels statistics. They've both got that 1788 rating on the website. Of course, this is just based on show matches alone, and at the moment, Tjester does have the slight lead, but of course, this has been so close so far. This is only the opening stages of the game. It's a little bit early to really call anything. I feel like it is going to be one of those unpredictable matchups, and I think that's what's going to make this such a good start, such a good way to be back here on stream. I think this was the perfect matchup to get ourselves started off. Tjester looking to create something here from the front corner, but Velocity immediately regains the ball here to try and launch the counter, and he's got little boost in the tank. That's why you see him staying so low. One bump and he's completely out the action. Velocity has had to bob and weave his way through this Tjester defense, and he just wasn't about to get that one on target. Tjester uses all his remaining boost for that initial jump. Does a little dummy one to force Velocity up, and now Tjester has to avoid that bump, and he does it just about. Both players picking up 100 boost. Tjester still in his half, unable to break his way through. This has been shut down in the centre completely from Velocity, but we know how quickly the momentum can change in a 1v1. Velocity off the wall. He'll fake, try and go low. Tjester blocks. Demo's coming out, and he just has to play this one a bit quickly, a bit calmly, and we will be back to that even scoreline, which we see now at the top of our screens. What a fantastic game this has been so far. What a battle it has been, and I must say, I have been thoroughly impressed. This is everything we could ever want. Tjester, we'll see how he takes this kickoff. He actually comes off very advantageous as a result of it. Off the ceiling now, reset gained. We'll just go straight for it. No fakes required, nothing fancy. Keep it simple, get it sorted, get the ball in the back of the net. Simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. 5-4 to Tjester. This is going to be a very high scoring affair, which could really stretch this game out. So we'll see if they'll be able to maintain this ability offensively. There's definitely something that could be said of the defense. I mean, we're 9 goals in, 3 minutes in. It might end up being 10. We might find ourselves on a double-digit scoreline with 1 minute, 56 seconds remaining. That's exactly what we will see. And it shows that these are going to be 2 players that are just going to be very, very committal. They're going to put absolutely everything in every single play, and they'll play the very simple strategy of, look, we'll just simply score more than the other, and sometimes that can work, of course. I believe last time when Tjester played, he was definitely the more offensive player in that game that went to 5, but if I remember right, Ringer seemed a little bit more defensive, so what you saw was this one player who really wanted to force their way through, get all the goals like that. That's an excellent showing there from Tjester. Cheeky little flip resets. And completely beats his man. Velocity forced to commit for that one a little bit early. But by that time, his fate was already decided. But like I said before, it felt like in the last match Tjester played, it was attack after attack after attack. And he was getting caught a lot on the counters. And it actually wasn't that obscenely high scoring because of that style that his opponent did have. But this time they feel fairly matched in that regard. And I love the cheeky mind game there from Tjester. Both players wanted that 50-50, but they wanted it off their own accord, and he made sure that one was forced into him to give him the completely open net. This is exactly how you want to play. It's a smart way to play, and it will grant Tjester the lead here. 80 seconds remain, a big kickoff coming out. Velocity still having a little bit of boost in the tank, some pads as well for his troubles, and he will just sneak that one near post. And I love the way he positioned his car here, and you see him do that little bit of a wiggle, which just fools Tjester in thinking that he might try and sneak it in that back post. And you saw the slam of the brakes there coming from the Frenchman, and once that brake had been pressed, it was, well, goal decided there for Velocity. He can see those slight little differences, and he knows that Tjester will as well, so when he does that little bit of a wiggle, he knows that he's forced to respond. And I like the bump plays coming as well here in defense. It's allowed him to have that little bit of space, have this beat as well, and surely back to an even scoreline now with 54 seconds remaining. 14 goals scored in game 1. I tell you what, there are sometimes full series that have that goal count. But these are 2 players that love to put themselves on the front foot. They love to be in that final third, and they'll try and force it any way they can. But also their challenges tend to be very aggressive, and oh, that's not the way you would want to lose the game here, certainly. Velocity just catches Tjester way too wide, way too high, and both of those combined makes it that he just about can't get back in time for that one. That is a disappointing way to concede your 8th, but of course they definitely start to get a little bit watered down at this point. Velocity will find his 9th, and there's a chance here that could be the dagger, but 39 seconds feels like it's plenty of time to score a bunch of goals with the nature of this game so far. It has been such a close game. And I think that's something that will continue if both of these players, regardless of results, can keep their composure. Because when you do play such a high-scoring game like this, that does take every fibre of your being, and it does start to run away from you in the final seconds here in the case of Tjester. It can be a bit of a mental block. You've worked so hard, and still it wasn't enough to get that opening win. I do think Velocity will take victory on this one, but look, I feel like still a lot is left to be decided off the kickoff. We'll watch Velocities here and see if he'll have a change of strategy now that he does have quite a wide lead. I'm not really seeing anything, so instead it's Tjester off the ceiling! And I think that'll be the best goal so far. It's the 2nd time he's done it, but this one just felt that bit cleaner. I don't know why the replay doesn't want us to watch it back. I certainly will. Save that to the ball chasing. And honestly, I'm going to be watching that one again and again and again and again. I'm not sure if Tjester will, if he doesn't grab this victory. I feel like this is going to be a game 1 which he's not going to have great memories of unless he can pull off an absolute miracle in the final 13 seconds. Look, I might have all of this quitter talk. Tjester certainly doesn't, and neither does anyone in his camp. because they've seen how many goals can be scored. They can see all the mistakes that have been made so far that are just waiting to be taken advantage of. And we see a slight variance in the strategy there of kickoff. He doesn't get possession, however. Velocity will pick it up, and actually he will make it 11. And I think now we can truly say that was the game-winning shot. But last time I said it, oh my goodness, how wrong was I? And currently it is our highest seed, albeit they are on equal ratings on the RLduels statistics. We will grant them those wishes. Kickoff here in game 2, relatively neutral. I think it's going to come to that second 50-50. It will. Velocity taking this ball up. Flip reset gained. Looking to sneak it under. Can't quite do it. And now another 50 here in the offensive corner. Typically risky for the player on that offense. This time it will be Velocity, but he knows when to take those. It's kind of a fundamental of 1v1s you can break when you're at this kind of high level, which these two players are. Tjester. Delays his flick perfectly there. I think Velocity was just starting to think it had ran out. You saw him creep forward a little bit, and I think he was caught by surprise. He made the most of it, but it just felt like it was delaying the inevitable. That was an excellent play there coming from Tjester. The little bump afterwards to add that physical factor is exactly how he needed to complete that play. I absolutely love that overall. Start to finish. What a way to open up the game there. Tjester, that's a huge kickoff, and I think he will just take a second goal. No, he won't. What a save there coming from Velocity. I thought that was going to be a decider. He's picked it up and got the counter. He has heard the commentator, and he's let the curse play completely into his favour. Quick counters, 1-1. This is 1v1s, ladies and gentlemen. Never consider yourself safe. Kickoffs straight afterwards. Velocity not quite getting that touch. Tjester will take the 100 boost here. Velocity left starving. Has to chase back to his corner. And Tjester will know that. That's why he's going to try and bring this one long. But both posts hit. And the ball not quite finding the back of the net. Velocity will stamp this one down. Tjester can't afford to go and get that boost. He would have been too wide away. Velocity has forced his hand. Just had to get this one under the bar. Couldn't quite do it. Tjester still with no boost. The attack is starved yet again here from Velocity. And this offense, it could have been over just those seconds ago should Velocity have timed that flip to perfection. Instead, he's had to wait that extra bit longer. The clock has been ran down. But ultimately, he has gotten that second goal he's been waiting for. And Tjester will be behind yet again. We mustn't forget, in the series context, this is a best of 5. Should Velocity go on to win this game, he does put himself on match point, and that reverse sweep will be required. Tjester gets it on target, and he's not looking for that. Of course, he's going to keep it close. As that game before, we saw it not very often escape that 1 goal difference, and once it gets to that point, Tjester or Velocity, whoever it was at the time, would very quickly close it down, and then all that hard work would be reduced to almost nothing. But of course, it has allowed them to really warm into things. Tjester going to be going for that double tap, surely! And he just hasn't been able to get that second one on target, but he's been able to use it as a self-setup instead. Velocity not quite being able to get what he wanted there off that back wall. I think he did get a slight tap, but like many of these plays so far in the defense in this 1v1, it's just delayed the inevitable. It hasn't really gotten the ball out of danger. That was easy there for Tjester to just turn around and put it away, and Velocity had already committed himself so far forward, but well, I guess it will all be for nothing after another kickoff goal joins the ranks. And, well, you actually see how Velocity positioned himself there. Put himself on the far right and then flipped left. Just so we could cover every single angle and actually give himself that advantage at the end of it. Kickoffs being such an important factor. That's why I find it interesting that Tjester didn't go for it this time. Definitely some variance there in his strategy. And he will tap this one back behind his wall and giving it that tight angle so Velocity wouldn't be able to just pounce and get an initial shot off. It has slow down the game a little bit, but he sped it all the way back up with his counter-attack. Velocity, the perfectly shadowed save. He's thrown back into his own net, 0 boost, but still willing to commit. I love those wall dashes. I love the recoveries coming from him. And it just keeps Tjester on his toes here. That even when you think you've starved Velocity, it's not quite enough. And oh, that was a very committal boost grab. If Velocity was able to grab that extra bit of pressure onto the ball, he would have just gotten the goal straight up. But after the demo, he was able to give himself a second chance there. There are certain opponents that wouldn't have allowed him to have that. And once he made that initial mistake, I think they would have been continuing to play some regular 1v1 Rocket League, but instead managed to make it a 1v0. And of course now we see the lead back on the side of Velocity. Corner boost grabbed. He is the defensive player in an awkward state here off his own back wall. Tjester staying close, trying to pile on that mental pressure. But ultimately Velocity doesn't succumb to it. That's the 2-goal difference here regained, but with plenty of time left. Nothing here to really count for. I'd say it's just a head start for when the real game gets played in those final 30 seconds as it was in game 1. Fairly neutral, but Tjester will get another touch. I don't think Velocity can quite get himself back in time, so already we see that goal difference halved, and that's why I say it's really not decided until those final 30 seconds where the real game begins here. And I'm wondering if we will see more variants of the kickoff. I feel like with these central runs you rarely do more than just a slight delay perhaps. Otherwise you just give them so much central presence, and that's where it really does get dangerous on the pitch. You can't waste your chances, but if you've got all the momentum, you're definitely the favourable player. Velocity's attack there, it's very quickly shut down. No real chances. But he's given himself another flip reset gained, and that's wonderful. That is incredible here from Velocity. Flipped the ball up well to set himself up for the flip reset, and Tjester just cannot keep up. If you give Velocity that much space, your fate is already decided. He does it week in, week out. Every single time we get a show match with him. Here on the RLduels 1v1 stream, it is almost guaranteed he will score a wonder goal like that. And now Tjester forced to respond yet again, but it can't be once, it has to be twice. 2-goal differences currently here on the pitch. And well, we love those highlight players. We saw Tjester with, hold on a minute, Velocity with a musty fake. Tried to bring it over just under the crossbar, couldn't quite do it. And just as I was saying before, Tjester, in the first game, we saw some of those ceiling shots come into play, and he showed beauty and simplicity. Velocity went the other way. Some lovely flip resets, a flip over, and well, you want to talk about beauty and simplicity. I commended Tjester for exactly that. This time, we'll see it from Velocity, just delaying when he wanted to get his real power in one of his flips till that final one, when Tjester was close and would commit his flip. And now off the back wall, it's just another open net, and it feels like that is what a lot of high-level 1v1 is. It is just creating that open net. You actually don't very often see shots thrown at a net with a goalkeeper in it that are actually intended to force their way in. More of the time, they're just kind of testers to try and force out these heavy touches or these committal flips so you can get that open net straight afterwards. It's a play you have to think seconds ahead of, and I must say, Tjester did really make a hash of that offense there. It felt like there were moments where he could have taken that one a lot better, just simply gotten it on target for some of those moments, or just been a bit faster to the ball, maybe conserved his boost a little bit better. Just, I feel like one small difference in, frankly, any sector of his play there would have seen him with a 7-5 scoreline. Unfortunately, it's run away from him with 8-4. We do have 15 seconds left in this game. Velocity going for the musty flick, trying to rub salt on the wound. It won't quite land. And this, ladies and gentlemen, will be game 2 over. It will be another victory for Velocity. And for sure, this will be... That has to come early in the game here. You have to be able to to be that dominant figure quickly. And that's what Velocity, I think, has absolutely nailed. Because in these high-scoring marathons, he just never has been the one to be chasing. And this is why I think Tjester getting this opening goal could be quite a decisive moment for the rest of this game. Should he be able to maintain it for quite some time, I think a second goal, or dare I say a third, could really help cement that and put him in the driving seat. And interested to see how they'll take these kickoffs. It is to Tjester's favour, and well, his wishes may be his very command here if he keeps on getting kickoffs like this. And that's just a quick one. 2 pads collected. Nice power on the back of it. Absolutely no chance for Velocity to keep up with this one. And I have commended Tjester's stamina in these 1v1 series before. It's been very high scoring, but you know he'll keep on that fight. You'll know that he'll be willing to push a game all the way to his 5th, even if he's not won the first 2. The reverse sweeps are always on the cards for this Frenchman. And he's looking to keep hopes alive here with a third goal. It's exactly what I called for. It's exactly what I said he needed if he wanted any reverse sweep hopes. Well, this is the perfect start. 34 seconds. 3 goals able to stretch their way through. And ladies and gentlemen, we might be in here for the long haul. And that is, of course, if Velocity is unable to respond. But I'm starting to see a little bit of new life coming out of Tjester here in these early stages. Velocity, though, looking to quench that early. That's a strong 50-50 coming from Velocity. And Tjester has been completely forced off that one. Nice tap away as well, just to finish things off. But like I said, 1v1 is about creating those open nets, getting your opponent to commit themselves long. And if it can be with a strong 50-50 like that, well, you're making the perfect plays. He's looking for the demos as well. Talking about open nets, a 1v0 would certainly give him that, but he has missed it, and he is punished by his overcommittal by gifting the open net to Tjester himself, who even gets a little bit of revenge there with a demo in this celebration. I'm not sure Velocity will be all too bothered by that. I think he actually went for Tjester, and it just went against him there. But I do like to see that some of the post goal moments. And Tjester, coming off the ceiling, wanted to fly his way into the ball quick, but didn't quite land off the ceiling as he wanted. So he jumped off at a bit of a dodgy angle, and you saw that he didn't commit himself to the flip, and it was almost made an impossible task. Speaking of Velocity, trying to make the unstoppable move, but he didn't quite get it right then. Tjester has done well. He won't get this double tap, however. Both players going to be chasing for this one. Velocity, though, definitely more front-footed, being the attacking player. Another fake player in the corner, and it's another 50-50, which he's just able to put into his favour. They're not 50-50s when you're playing against Velocity. Maybe 60-40, maybe 70-30 with how well he's performed in this game. Just had to take a sip. Just had to take this moment, ladies and gentlemen, to observe what I'm seeing. It's another high-scoring game, but this one does have the colours switched. It has Tjester with the lead. Tjester in the driving seat. Velocity having to respond, but he has had his shinings of brilliance so far. He has had his moments. He has had his extra tricks to add here to the stream. But I feel like one flick might have made that 3-goal difference return. Not quite. It hit the post. Velocity was able to get a touch as well. But that's a 50-50 of Tjester to give Velocity a taste of his own medicine. Ball high. Caught it well. And it was a little bit of a cheeky mind game there, which sent Velocity in such a disadvantageous position. Now we're back at that stage where we're just before the halfway point. 7 goals having already been scored. Both players going for the delayed kickoff there. And Tjester does come out on top. Oh my goodness. They played a little game of chicken there. And Tjester just completely snags it and decides, look, this is going to be my game. I will push this one to a game 5. And it, of course, starts here in the third. Tjester can put out 100 boost off that left wall. Velocity has to come back off his own corner, and Tjester's high ball doesn't fall Velocity whatsoever here. This had potential to be a quick counter, but Velocity has slowed it down just to bring the pace back up, and that's something I think he does so well. He plays in a fair few 1v1 tournaments recently. He tries to qualify himself to quite a few. I believe he actually competed in, I want to say, the Sub-Saharan Africa Champions Road 1v1 Open. I'm not quite too sure how well he did there, but I know that he is, of course, a decent player in EU, and with EU definitely being considered a stronger region than SSA, I can imagine he did pretty strong over there as well, even if he did have to play with a bit of a ping deficit. But Tjester, he's taken absolutely no prisoners. He is a European 1v1 player through and through. He played that Champions Road 1v1 Open in Europe and put himself up against some tough competition. He, of course, we have two players here that do love the odd show match as well. Velocity, even playing a few for charity. I saw him on some Omen streams, of course, casted by the likes of myself, and he's had some tough opponents, but it's never really shaken him. He's always been one to compete here, and I think that's why we see such strong mentalities coming from both these minds. I think it's required in the 1v1 scene. You can't really go without it, because I tell you what, it's known as it is known as the most frustrating playlist, sorry, for a reason. I almost said almost, but we all know that's simply just not true. But if we want to go back into the nature of this game here, Tjester's going to put this ball high, won't quite find his 8. Velocity just able to get back in time. They've both been trading goals, as they have been for the rest of the series, quite frankly, not just this game alone, but for the most part, Tjester's been able to keep his distance. And Velocity, no matter how hard he tries, he's just come off a little bit short. I don't think Tjester will be able to turn on this one immediately. It's just going to be a bit too close to that back wall, but Velocity will catch. He's got 65 seconds to try and land a sweep should he want it. But Tjester has done well to lock himself down, really. He's just definitely sat down a bit more in defense here. And, oh, he might just find that angle. It's on target, but Velocity will save it. Tjester will turn. An 8th goal maybe to follow. Velocity does get a touch, but it is not quite enough. And this game, with 43 seconds left, requires 4 goals for Velocity to put it in an overtime if we want any hopes of a sweep. But I see that as very, very unlikely. Tjester has been on fire. That's a great kickoff for him as well. He'll collect that 100 boost, and he might even get a 9th goal. Yes, he will. And that is a smooth double tap to get the job done. And I will say that now. I think the job is finished. I do think Velocity can use these final 36 seconds just to kind of keep himself warm and to almost prepare himself for this game 4, which is almost guaranteed to come now at this point. And when that scoreline's reset, when it's 5 minutes remaining, 0-0 at the top of the screen, Velocity needs to be in that mindset where he is on fire, where he is able to get those big leads as he was able to before, but he's just allowing Tjester here to have his dribble fun. Velocity is definitely feeling out of it. I feel like both players are kind of gentleman's agreementing to just bring this one to a stop, not looking to add any extra goals. I think that this almost feels like a forfeit. That here in game 4, Tjester versus Velocity, we do have kickoff, and I want to see how Tjester takes this one this time. It looks like it's going to fall out of him a little bit. He's still not picked up any boosts. I believe Velocity grabbed that corner as well. He's starved, he's dead, he's off the pitch. Velocity, however, is behind the ball. He will take possession. He will go for the mind game. And what a way to get this game started. I must say, this has been a series of excellent opening goals, no matter who it has been. And, oh, I do have a soft spot for a cheeky fake. I love a flip reset. I love the ceiling shot, but something about a fake. It just hits a little bit different, especially in a 1v1. It's personal, of course. It's not, you know, blue team versus orange. It is very much velocity versus Tjester, and Tjester looking to add some highlight reel plays for himself. Off the ceiling, off velocity's back wall, and able to just about get that second touch off the ground bounce to bring this game back to equal. No early wide leads here allowed for velocity. Tjester immediately puts himself back in the game, and he might put himself in the lead as well after that kickoff. He will. And now velocity is in the chasing position. What a start to this game for. It has been electric. I think this has been the best start to a game so far. I mean, 2 shots like that to get us started is incredible. The kickoff, whatever. I mean, it fulfilled the storyline of Tjester being able to put himself in the lead after starting from behind and allowing velocity to respond straight afterwards. My goodness. Is this a traditional show match or a freestyle 1v1? Velocity showing off more of the mech there. He's been given too much space there on the wall, and, well, it was kind of had that hand forced towards him after the kickoff. So that's not really a discredit to Tjester, who will respond with a kickoff goal of her own. So now they're even. Now they're even, we can say. My goodness. 5 goals scored in 45 seconds. It feels absolutely unheard of. This is insane. It's a goal every 7 seconds if we just want to average that one out. And Tjester with some space on the wall, 100 boost as well, coming off the ceiling. We know how much he loves this surface. He is going to delay his flip. I'm not quite sure what the plan was there. I think he actually got stuck within a few mines, and it's led to him kind of falling apart at the last hurdle of that mechanical play. And oh, that is unfortunate. Is that just going to find the back of it? It will. It will. Velocity. Just at the completely wrong angle to take this 50. And Tjester, you can tell he read that. You saw him do those final adjustments so that one would pinch into the opposing goal. And at the moment, Game 5 is, of course, on the cards. But Game 4 still has many pages left in its chapter. Tjester to the back wall, looking for the double. But I think that ball was just a bit too wide out. I don't think he was going to be able to wrap himself around that one. So he put it in a better place where he could delay the play and get back involved when the time comes. And of course, collect himself that 5th goal. And we'll see if there's a change in plan off these kickoffs. Tjester maybe going for the doink. Doesn't quite find the target. Velocity forced back to his own corner. Tjester has challenged that one well, but Velocity coming off the mid left. Tjester still commits to that ball. Has nothing in the tank, but knows he can apply pressure nevertheless. Picked up good pads here to try and prepare himself with his defense, but Velocity has been watching him. He knows exactly what his path is going to be, and that he's likely going to match those pads on the floor. And as soon as he turned in a bit too tight, Velocity was willing to punish with an easy flick there into the top left corner. It's a 2-goal difference. It's definitely one which is redeemable here for the Englishman. And it's going to be one that is going to keep Tjester on his toes. Shot going towards the net. Velocity not quite on target. That one is over, and Velocity does read that. He doesn't fully commit himself. He just allows himself to get that simple touch of the back wall. But oh, Tjester just missing that corner boost there. And if that starved Velocity, he would have been in a much better position right now. Instead, he will concede this offense. He does well to defend it, but now he's the one being starved and forced back into his own half. Now Velocity, 100 boost in the tank. Has that space closed down by Tjester, and I must say that is an excellent reading of the game there. However, he is beaten to this one. Velocity not quite getting it on net, so that one will again concede possession. I think there have been a lot of half chances here coming from both of these players, and that will certainly be one of them. Half chance, that was about a 9/10. He was so almost there, but it just about wasn't enough, and instead he'll face a counter-attack. That one has got to feel bitter. Tjester does well with the flick as well to have it come off the crossbar in a way that he can just make it easy for himself to tap that one home. Now back to a 3-goal difference, and Velocity feeling like he's at square one, feeling like this is game 3 all over again. But oh, that is a dodgy decision there coming from Tjester, and that will just allow Velocity to get a completely free goal. That touch, it was just way too heavy. And you can tell that wasn't intended, and he had his eyes on that mid boost as well. He just gave away so much with one touch there. He gave away the plan, he just straight up gave away the ball, and Velocity, there was no second decision in his mind, he would go for it. And I feel like that could be the decisive moment if Velocity is able to decide it in this 4th game here. Because the kick-off goal was straight to follow, and now we're back to a very, very, very tight 1-goal difference. But Tjester will get a little bit creative here off the kick-off. Does go back to his own corner. Velocity looking to keep this one close. Doesn't have any boost to his name. I'm not sure how much Tjester knows that. 100 boost collected by him. Velocity still able to maintain the pressure. Just run down some time here for him to maybe pick up some pads. But as soon as he picks up these pads, you can see Tjester is playing the ball really high. He caught on that Velocity had nothing in the tank. So it was just burning him until he had just enough space that he could take full advantage of the vertical play and tip his way over for that 7th goal. And these are these 1v1 mindsets which you have to have, and this time it's Velocity. He's going to leave this ball behind off the kickoff, and actually he'll come up on top as a result of it. 7-6, yet again, a 1-goal difference as we approach the later stages of this 4th game. Starting to get pretty dangerous for both sides. The next goal could be very crucial in the result of this one, and that could lead to the result of the series, of course. Neutral 50, but Velocity just about gets himself ahead, and that 100 boost, we've seen what he can do with space and time here on the wall with 100. He will try and sneak that one low. Not quite able to pull it off. Tjester still left with a little bit of work to do, but of course he finds the angle. There's the 8th goal. There's the 2nd goal difference here with 67 seconds left on the clock. And surely the game here is in his hands. Velocity might want something huge coming out of this kickoff. And to be fair, he has. Again, it's 100 boost off the sidewall. We saw him not quite be able to force it through last time after he faked it and went low. He got the flip reset, but that reset ended up allowing the boost to bounce far away. And it's a big miss there coming from Tjester, but a low boost Velocity isn't able to make the most of it. And that is not a great landing either. Tjester with the demo. And oh my goodness, Velocity, I think wasting what would have been a huge opportunity there. And I think that will be the decider for this 4th game. Tjester looking comfortable with a 3-goal lead. Not much time left on the clock. Back into the game now. Is Tjester 50-50s between these two teams, and I wonder if we will ever see that kind of neutral forfeit between the players like we did before. I still think it's slightly too early for that, but gone 10 seconds, I think we'll be back in those kind of positions, especially if Tjester is going to score this one. He's getting a bit fancy with it with a double tap. It didn't quite land. Velocity's got nothing in the tank. Tjester will take this one back, and I think that will end it. 10 seconds left on the clock. Velocity has given up. And I think they're just going to let this one run down as they did before. That is taking us to game place on the RLduels leaderboard. And of course, to get the opening victory here on stream, the opening series for quite some time. RLduels has been on a hiatus, and I must say this has been the perfect series to get us back on the road. Tjester with the save. And with the counter shot as well. It's back to another opening goal. A player looking for a reverse sweep has the exact opening he could ask for. And Velocity has had all the momentum go against him. He's got to not only completely shut it down here in this final game, he's got to tip those scales back into his favour. And I don't really know why the camera decided to stay there for such a long time, but a nice view from the crowds. And I hope our real crowd are having a good time right now, watching here from Twitch chat, seeing Velocity bring this game back to equal, and this close nature of this series does continue. Of course, it had to extend its way to Game 5. You didn't think it was going to be a one-sided battering, did you? I mean, still potential for it to be that case, but I'm going to put all my chips in now and say that that's not how it's going to be. Tjester off that back wall. Not quite able to find its way through initially, but recovers himself well off the bump to be able to slide it away there. Not quite the physical play Velocity was looking for. And you've got a feel for him there. He had 0 boost, but Tjester just positioned himself perfectly as well, so that no matter what really happened to him, he was guaranteed a goal. Velocity needed that one. Instead, he might concede a 2-goal difference should Tjester be able to make the most of this offense. But Velocity finally gets those bumps he was looking for. That ball will go forward. It's unchaseable here for Tjester, who just turns away. Back to equal, 2-2. And if anyone is here in chat with us right now, watching this insane series, please, please, please put your predictions on who you think will take this Game 5. Are you going to give a reverse sweep to the side of Tjester, or will you concede a reverse sweep denial from Velocity? And of course, this will be uploaded on the YouTube, so put your predictions in the comments as well. Lock it in. But of course, you're given that bit of an advantage now. Velocity has put himself in the lead. 3-2 with 3 minutes 50 left, and I mean, it's way too early to say if this is going to be the decider. We've learned those lessons before. All the games have been so ridiculously high scoring, and Velocity has proven that he is dangerous with boost, but that one will hit the post. It will concede to Tjester, who's just got some pads to work with. Ball going high. Velocity has plenty of booster burn, leaves himself to his final 20, which he is using sparingly here. There we go. He finally uses that final amount, and it's actually matching the time of which Tjester will go through all his boost. And that is conservation at its finest there from Velocity. That is high-level 1v1 boost conservation. This is where you want to start taking your notes. This is where you want to learn a lesson from these two players here, because that was perfection. Tjester, this kickoff, Velocity has every single angle blocked, so now from his own corner, he's going to have to try and make something happen. Flip reset gain, but Tjester knows all these tricks that he loves to play. He's of course going to use that wave dash off the floor. He's of course going to have that one stolen, and that counter attack is going to come quick. This was definitely a reading between two different opponents here. Tjester knows Velocity's tricks now. They've been playing for quite some time. They've played each other, I'm sure, quite a few times by this point, but of course today alone, this is their 5th game against each other, and it is as close as the scoreline suggests. It is as close as the RLduels statistics would suggest. And I think this is going to be one of that goes to the wire. We haven't seen an overtime yet, but I must say, Game 5 would be the perfect time for that to happen. Tjester doesn't quite get the flip reset there. I'm not sure if Velocity knows it. Still, the 50-50 looked strong, but that ball was just rolling to a very awkward position there for our Frenchman, who again just about can't get it on target. That's Velocity on the counter, and this will be the 5th goal in his favour. It was just such an awkward offence there for Tjester. You have to feel for him there, because it felt like he came so close, but equally so far from grabbing himself that lead, because even though that ball was, close to the net radially, there wasn't quite an angle there that it could actually be forced in. You had to go back to the drawing board, and it was one of those really frustrating positions to be in, and I'm sure that will be frustrating for Tjester. He's worked so hard to get himself back into this series, and he's actually worked really hard to get himself back into this game alone. And to have it thrown away like that, and one counter-attack go against you to concede the lead yet again to Velocity. It's not a nice position to be in, but he will just grab it back here. A lovely delayed flick from his own corner. He's forced Velocity back into his own half. This little hop here keeps Velocity guessing, and he's waited till the final millisecond of his flip timer to finally use it and keep Velocity double guessing there, because there was full opportunity for Tjester to just not use his flip whatsoever, land again, and then use a flick off there. And those kind of plays are very common in 1v1, and Velocity, of course, very experienced, knows that. That's why that play was such a perfect mind game there from Tjester. Speaking of Tjester, off the ceiling. No real ground pinch. Instead, it's just a 50-50 you'll have to compete for. Velocity just weaving his way around the ball, and Tjester did commit his flip, but there was nothing too dangerous coming out of that one. He's been chased into his own half. Velocity's landed the bump, and that, well, is well calculated. Tjester said it in chat, I must say. I'd have to agree. Velocity putting himself in a perfect position. You saw Tjester try and get that counter bump, but Velocity had already run away with it. He'd already had that goal essentially set in stone. What a way for Velocity to do it here. But now Tjester is going to have to chase this one. Does manage to grab the 100 boost of Velocity's side. It felt a little bit risky, but I feel like that risk was reduced by the fact that Velocity did not have anything in the tank, of which Tjester knew all too well. Again, 50-50's coming out. Tjester, chance to make it 6-6. He will. And they are just trading goals this game. I feel like Tjester definitely has been the one to have to chase for the most part. And if the game does go to an overtime, that's going to be out of his favour. You can't score every even goal, otherwise that's going to be a game lost. He's going to have to break this pattern eventually, and this is an opportunity to do so, but instead Velocity will take it over 100 boost, and oh, that's not going to be the flip he wanted. He's thrown away that chance, but he still has a second because Tjester has absolutely nothing in the tank. Bump attempted, doesn't quite land. Tjester's going to take the lead. And from chasing to now having to be chased. Tjester with the counter, and it felt like that was a play that was completely in Velocity's favour, but this is 1v1, it can change in a blink of an eye, and it certainly has. Oh my goodness. A shot on there by Tjester, and there's the second goal difference. It could be the dagger here in the final minute. Big kickoff coming out. Velocity didn't want to commit to it initially, and I think he should have, because Tjester was waiting behind and he was always going to pounce on that one. It has been so high scoring. It's been a series which has dragged out as a result of it. But oh my goodness, it has been constant action. It hasn't been one-sided really in any point. Both teams feeling like they've had a chance to try and make that comeback. Velocity does land for Demo, and if he can get a goal here, hopes does still stay alive for him, but he's made a bit of a hash of that dribble. And Tjester will just bring it across. 10 seconds left on the clock, surely game decided. And Tjester, the Frenchman, will take the lead here. GG's in chat.